Hey, good morning, everybody. It is about 6:23 a.m. I don't have to be at work till 10:30, but I do have to leave within the next 2.5 hours to give me some change for the bus. But I wanted to come on here and give you my thoughts on last night's Wrestlemania 35 live from MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, on the outskirts of New York City, as they would always gotta basically say it is. And I'm going to be in the camp of a lot of people saying that this was probably one of the better WrestleManias we have seen in quite some time. You could definitely tell that perhaps Triple H and a few others that he can trust and know how to book things and get things, get the results that are needed. You could tell that he had some say in it, and he basically had a say in like who would probably book certain outcomes and matches. Now, with that said, did I watch all 8 hours? Let's put it this way. No, I didn't. I watched what I could during the kickoff. I rewound, saw Tony Nese beat Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship. Congratulations to Tony Nese. I saw the women's battle royal and saw Carmella win that, although I will say that they gave Sarah Logan a good showing, so that kind of tells you, despite how you feel about the battle royal and its significance, if any, that whenever someone is one of the last people remaining in it, usually at times that individual is on the company's radar, or at least on a certain individual backstage on the radar to get that next step up, to get that push. So Sarah Logan obviously has to be on the radar. Even though she didn't win, Carmella did. Carmella won, so you've had two baby faces 2 years in a row winning the Women's Battle Royal. But a good showing by Logan. I know some people were not happy that Asuka got eliminated by her, but that's to help build her momentum, I'm guessing. But again, congratulations to Carmella for winning that. Then we had the Raw Tag Team titles, Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins against the Revival. The story going into this is Hawkins is on this losing streak, and would this be the night? Well, apparently I didn't get to see all of the match, but I did see the ending where Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins have indeed become the Raw Tag Team Champions. It was Kurt Hawkins almost lifeless on the ground, on the mat, basically I guess playing possum, and rolling up, it looked like Scott Dawson of the Revival to win the Raw Tag Team titles. Now, some people are projecting that tonight on Monday Night Raw they'll probably lose them again to the Revival, but there's no more rematches, remember? So if they lose the tag team belts, it'll probably be to AOP or someone new. Then we had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and this is basically, I will agree, with more centered around the SNL guys and Braun Strowman. But in the end, as expected, Braun Strowman did end up winning the match. And Deluxe Man did put out a tweet, because he watched the whole damn 8 hours. Excuse my language, God. But he watched the whole 8 hours, and he saw a moment in there like I did and all of us did. I'm sure the rest of us did if we saw it. He saw a moment in there where he's like, he tweeted, "Give me more of this." And that was Braun Strowman one-on-one with Luke Harper. So, very interesting to see that. Now, what's funny about this Battle Royal, I want you to take a look at the significance of this Battle Royal so far. You have had, get this, I want you to take a look at this. You've had, I guess you could say, not a big guy, but you've had, I don't know how you'd had basically a rising, underutilized superstar in Cesaro win the inaugural Andre Battle Royal. You had the Big Show make up for that the year after. You had Baron Corbin winning at the largest WrestleMania of all time. Okay. Now, the thing is, you had Matt Hardy win it last year You had Mojo Rawley win it the year before, and now you've had Braun Strowman. Why don't you take a look at the pattern there? One regular size superstar, two big men, two regular size, and one big man. So expect another big man next year to win. It's kind of that little pattern, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, after that, we get into WrestleMania officially, and we get started in a way that's kind of unique and interesting. We have Yolanda Adams singing America the Beautiful. I brought my mom in to see that because she loves Yolanda Adams and the way she sings. But then we had Alexa Bliss get introduced. Well, we had a great video. We had a great opening package for WrestleMania, a great video package. Then we had the announcer announce Alexa Bliss as the host. She basically goes on a little bit of a spiel saying, hey, WrestleMania doesn't need a host, it needs a goddess, and I have the power right now to do anything I want, or make any kind of moment happen. And she proves this by snapping her fingers, and out comes Hulk Hogan to a massive ovation. So she does that, he does a little spiel, kind of messes up on MetLife Stadium, calls it MetLife Center. So it was great to see him, and it felt right to see Hogan in this kind of environment. It felt right to have Hulk Hogan in this kind of environment, so I was glad about that. But what was funny is after he did his spiel and did his little pose, especially with Alexa kind of copied him a little bit, out came Paul Heyman. And one thing a lot of people were getting a kick out of was the fact that Paul Heyman just walked out while Real American was playing in the background. So now you're going to definitely see a lot of memes and GIFs with that, or clips going around with that happening. Anyway, Paul Heyman gets in the ring and he is upset. He and Brock Lesnar, legitimately or storyline wise, are upset. They're upset at the fact that Brock Lesnar, who's been booked and advertised as this box office attraction, the box office attraction that WWE needs and WWE pays to have, is upset that Brock Lesnar, the story going into this is basically Paul and Brock are upset that Brock's not headlining and closing out WrestleMania. And here's the one thing. Usually, if it wasn't for what was going on later on and the story building up to it, and the fact that this whole situation, that whole main event's been planned out originally since last year, then yeah, I can understand frustration. So what does Paul Heyman do? Paul Heyman says, nope, this ain't gonna work, not gonna happen. If Brock's not gonna be in the main event, not gonna close out the show, then we don't want to be here too much longer. In other words, he's saying, look, if Brock ain't gonna close out the damn show, he don't want us to hang around much longer. So what happens? He brings out Brock Lesnar and was starting off WrestleMania with, I guess in storyline, an impromptu Universal Championship match with Seth Rollins. And before the match officially begins, Seth gets in there, and literally, before the bell rings, Brock is all over Seth, beating the hell out of Seth Rollins for at least a couple of minutes, hitting him with an F5 on the outside, throwing him in the barricade, just obliterating Seth until they get back in the ring. And Seth basically lets the referee know, I can still go, I can go, ring the bell, and that's what the referee does. Referee rings the bell. Seth gets German suplexed a couple of times, but then just as he's about to run and get pushed into the referee wisely ducks out of the ring like, oh crap, gets out of the ring as quickly as he could, and by that distraction, Seth is able, while that's happening, I guess Brock's noticing this, Seth is able to hit a low blow. Hits a low blow right onto Brock, and this enables Seth to not hit one, not two, but three curve stomps as best he could. And here's my honest opinion, guys. Here's my honest opinion. I thought when he was going to go for that third curve stomp that Brock was going to pop back up like we've seen him do before, grab him on the shoulders and F5 him, and that'd be it. But that didn't happen. He hit 3 curve stomps, and within a matter of, I would say, 5 to 6 minutes, Seth Rollins did exactly what his name now proclaims. He slayed the beast. Seth Rollins is the new Universal Champion. Now, a lot of people have their theories as to why this happened. What occurred? Rumors are going around that something happened behind the scenes with Vince and Brock. We don't know. So that's one match down. The next match was AJ Styles against Randy Orton. This was a good match. Probably not, in the eyes of a lot of folks, it was probably not pay-per-view quality, but it was still a good match. It was a decent match. And both men went back and forth on each other. And the story being told here was AJ had to avoid the RKO. And there were many times during the match, several times in the match, where Randy would try to go for it knowing that AJ was going to go for the phenomenal forearm. And AJ would be like, not going to do that. And he would find a way to block Randy or make Randy miss. And in the end, AJ was able to hit the phenomenal forearm and win the match. So AJ beat Randy Orton. But is this story far from over? I don't think so. I really don't think so. It's not far from over, I'm pretty sure, as far as stories are concerned. Now, the next match we had, I believe, was the Fatal 4-Way for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. We had the Usos against The Bar, against Ricochet and Aleister Black, and Rusev and Nakamura. This was a fun match. I will give it that. This was a fun match. And both men but all 4 teams brought their A game here. Again, very, very good match. Wasn't long, but it was decent enough to where everybody got their stuff in. And one of the moments people talk about from last night, from that tag team match, was Cesaro and Sheamus and what they did. You see, Cesaro caught Ricochet, put him in the giant swing, and while he's swinging him for who knows, according to several people like the Lexman and several others, you had him swinging for about 32 rotations. At the same time, Sheamus is doing this to one member of each team. You know, the bells of the Bowery kind of thing, where he hits the chest of the opponent. He's doing this. He's doing this to one of the Usos. He's doing this to Aleister. He's doing this to Nakamura. He's doing this to Rusev. He's basically beating the crap out of everybody. While Cesaro is still swinging Ricochet. But in the end, it comes down to basically everybody getting a little bit of the finishers in. And it came down to the Usos hitting a double super kick on Sheamus, putting him in the center of the ring, and hitting a double superfly splash to win the match. Which was cool. Then we get, I think it was time for the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Again, probably not one of the best matches. Some people would consider it more of a Raw or SmackDown match, mostly a Raw match. But it was good. And like I said in my live reactions, which believe it or not is one of my longest videos I've done at 5 hours, I said the Iconics were the wild card. I said 2 things were going to happen. Either because they inducted her dad into the Hall of Fame, and then we saw Bret Hart briefly come out with them at the end, at the beginning. One scenario was they were gonna book the Divas of Doom to win the belts, that being Natalya and Beth. But I also said the wild cards you have to look out for are the Iconics. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what occurred. The Iconics, who everybody looked at as the wild card, were the ones that walked out the new women's tag team champions. And we can only imagine how the reign's going to be booked around for a while. How long they're going to have the belts. But it's nice. But it is nice that, I will say this, you have a legitimate team with the championships. I'm not saying that Sasha and Bayley were a legitimate team, but I think a lot of people would agree the Iconics are more believable. And it kind of sets up a scenario too that not a lot of fans are going to like hearing. And you know what that is? That scenario being the Iconics going up against the Bellas. You know they'll probably be planning that already. Alright, so the next match I think we had was Shane against The Miz, Falls Count Anywhere. This match was crazy as heck. They basically solidified Falls Count Anywhere as it should be because it was exactly that. You had Shane taking some crazy bumps. So you have Miz basically showing a side of himself that he's never seen before. Or we've never seen before. I mean, these guys went all, I wouldn't say all over MetLife, but they went pretty close. They got to the point that they got on top of this scaffolding, for this camera scaffolding where they have the camera crews sometimes set up. And basically what happened is the Miz storyline going into this. And one thing I will give a lot of these matches at Mania, they told some great stories. But here's what was funny. I wouldn't say funny, but here's what was interesting. Here's the story going into this. Miz allowing his emotions to get the best of him. Because what happened? Miz decides to basically, he's thinking of trying to toss Shane off. Because Shane's like on the ledge, and he's thinking of throwing him off. But he does something instead. He does something a little different instead. He decides to hit a freaking superplex off 15 feet of a scaffold onto the padding, I would say the cushion padding board below. But what happened in storyline is Shane's momentum is because, I wouldn't say Shane's momentum, but because Miz lifted Shane up like this, Shane's arm was kind of like going to be draped on the Miz. So he's got Shane up, and they drop, and as soon as we see where they've landed, Shane's on top of Miz like this. Just dead, almost, but enough to get the pinfall. So storyline-wise, Shane lucked out in beating The Miz. So that was kind of interesting, and that was kind of cool. And it definitely shows you they're going to continue the story there. Then we had Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston after that. I think maybe it was after that, I'm not really sure. We had Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston. Again, one of the matches was storytelling was prominent, was very prominent here, as well as athleticism. These guys put on what many consider the match of the night. It was great. You had the camera going to the back area, showing all the baby faces, supporting Kofi. And it was just tremendous. Now, here's one thing. I will give WWE credit. They had Big E come out with a package, with a present. And he says, Kofi, you'll get this after you win. And the first thing that went through my mind, guys, was they're going to turn Big E heel. This present's going to be something that's going to blow up in Kofi's face, and Big E's going to turn heel, right? Didn't happen. Did not happen. Happened because I think they're saving that. But what did happen was Kofi Kingston, in the end, became WWE Champion. And yes, history was made because he becomes the first pure African American, pure black man to be WWE Champion. Not World Champion, not Universal Champion, not NXT Champion, but the WWE Champion. So congratulations to Kofi on that. At this time, I'm thinking WWE is doing the right thing. They're giving us what we want. Kind of. Okay. So after that high, we get a moment with Elias. And he does this little skit where you see two virtual versions of him on the big screen. One's on the drums, one's on the piano, and he's in the ring, and the real Elias is in the ring. He's on the guitar, and they kind of play together simultaneously. And then when Elias decides to take it on his own, and does his shtick of hold your applause, shut your turn down your cell phone, shut your mouth kind of deal. As soon as he's getting ready to play, all of a sudden this picture shows up, or this video shows up of Babe Ruth doing that famous call of his shot. Where he calls his shot and where he was going to hit the home run and where it was going to land. The famous shot called by Babe Ruth. They show that video, and I'm thinking, is this Bray Wyatt? Because this is weird. It's black and white, and it's like, I don't know what's going on here. No. What came next was a big surprise. We knew he was going to be there. We knew he was going to play a role in some capacity, but we didn't expect this. What came afterwards was John Cena, but not the John Cena we've seen and known and have become accustomed to knowing. No, we're not talking that John Cena. We're talking Dr. African Thugonomics John Cena. And that place popped when that happened. And he was doing the whole shtick. He was in character. It felt like if he was to come back full time or part time as the Dr. Thugonomics character or persona, it'd be like it never left. And it felt like that. In the end, he did his rap. He put Elias down, do what the Dr. Thugonomics usually does, as well as he also hit him in the head with the mic. Right, did the 5-knuckle shuffle and then hit not the AA, but the FU. So it's kind of cool to see John back doing that, and maybe we'll get more of that in the future. Next up, we had Triple H and Batista no holds barred with the stipulation that if Hunter doesn't win, his career is over. This match, ladies and gentlemen, this match on its own was one of the best storytelling matches ever. Because here's what was interesting, and I'll let you know about that in a moment. Hold on. I had to go check something real quickly, guys. But anyway, here's what was interesting about this. Throughout the night, during various matches, either the Raw or SmackDown commentating team would always switch out fellow journalists or color commentators or analysis. They would go back, sometimes they'd go back to the regular group, but other times they would switch them out. Like when they did the women's tag team match, they had Paige. And when they had this match, instead of having Renee at ringside with Michael and Corey, instead they had Shawn Michaels. And again, the storytelling was magnificent in this match. Because here's what was funny. How it started. So Batista comes out. He comes out with this limousine, big movie star like entourage, right? So after he gets in the ring, does his usual shtick, which we haven't seen him do in a while. Because I'm thinking he's going to do the spotlight pose kind of deal, right? No. He does the deal. And that's cool. Here's what happens. He gets in the ring, and he looks, and he sees Shawn, kind of gets in Shawn's face. And Shawn says, hey, it's not between me and you, Dave. It's between you and her. So after that, Triple H comes out. He comes out to one of his Grand Wrestlemania entrances, which was based on Mad Max. And then the match begins. And woo! Not only was this match no holds barred, not only did it live up to that, but this was also, like I said, the storytelling was superb in this. It was very superb. I mean, because even if this is the last match both men are going to have for a while, they showed that it doesn't matter whether they've been away for a long time being movie stars or they've been away because they're working behind the scenes now at WWE. They showed that they could still go, and they proved it. And there were moments in this matchup that reminded you who Triple H was and still is, and who Batista was. And that's no joke. Because there was a moment where Triple H, he hits Batista with a toolbox. Now we all can recall that the last time he used the toolbox in a match against Batista was Hell in a Cell. And he used a freaking screwdriver. It's not the first time either. But here he didn't do that. Instead, he got the big old pliers, like the kind you use to, tighten or loosen a pipe under a sink, or something like that. He gets those, puts them around Batista's fingers, and starts bending them, putting them down onto the steel steps, and then stomps on them. But that's not the end. Because then he gets a chair, waffles Batista back in the ring with it, and then, while Batista's lying in the ring, Triple H goes back to the toolbox, he gets pliers. And we're talking the thin pliers, like the wire pliers, right? He gets those. And what does he do? He goes in, he's got the sick smile on his face, it's like he's having fun, puts the chair on Dave Batista's neck, looks at shows him the wire pliers, and puts it right on his nose, and literally takes out his nose ring. Now, we're not sure if it was the real deal or not, but Batista's expression was like, oh shit. Excuse my language, like oh shit kind of deal. But again, the storytelling in this match was so good. There was a moment where Batista had Triple H lying on one of the announce tables. He was going to try to do a power Batista bomb off a pair of steel steps he put on top of the announce table. He was going to do a Batista bomb onto the main announce table. Triple H countered that into a backdrop, and then Triple H, catching his breath, gets up and literally runs across the announce tables onto the German one, across the announce tables, and tackle spears Batista through the German announce table. Excuse me. But Batista bombs him, but he spears him through the German announce table. Now, fast forward, because you got to see this match yourself, guys, to see what I'm saying. It was very good, storytelling wise. In the end, Triple H ends up winning the match because he tries to hit Batista once with a sledgehammer, but Batista is able to counter that quickly right into the Batista bomb. But what happens is Ric Flair comes out of nowhere, slides Triple H into the sledgehammer. He grabs Dave Batista's attention, who has a sledgehammer of his own, and Triple H literally, as soon as Dave turns around, and after he tells Rick, watch this, or tells him he's going to end Triple H's career, Triple H literally gets a running start from the other corner, from one corner of the ring. Like Triple H is right here, Batista's right here. Triple H literally gets a running start, leaps right onto the steps. Use that as sort of like a Matrix-like maneuver to hit in a Superman punch kind of way Batista with the sledgehammer, enabling him to get him into pedigree and win the match. Took me out of breath talking about it. And everybody wonders why I am still a fan, and always will be, and always have been a fan of Triple H. But damn, this match was good, and the story it told was very well done. After that, I might be putting these matches out of order, but after that, we had Rey Mysterio and Samoa Joe. Basically, it was a squash match, but Rey did get some offense in, but not much. Ray hit the 619, got Joe in position for the 619, hit, and then Joe was getting back up. So Ray goes to the top corner, goes to the corner. He goes to the corner like right here, instead of like going on the ropes like he usually does. He goes to the corner, gets ready to dive off, but Joe catches him and puts him into the Kakia clutch. Ray passes out, Joe retains. Now some people may not like that, but on a grand stage like Wrestlemania, it makes Joe become a legitimate badass and puts him in contention for Kofi Kingston if that's the direction they want to go in. Then we had another match. Drew McIntyre versus Roman Reigns. This, a lot of people would say, was a piss break match, but I watched it. I thought it was alright. Thought it was good for what it was. And Roman Reigns does win in the end, because basically the story being told in this match was Drew got cocky and that cost him. Because Drew, literally, this is what he does towards the end. He slaps Roman right in the face, a couple of times, and that's enough to wake up Roman, and Roman's like, he slapped him like this, slapped him like this, and Roman's like, he's just like getting right in his face, and literally that's when you knew the match was over. Roman ends up winning the match, but I don't think it's going to hurt Drew, especially if he's going to hit the SmackDown Live. Again, I don't think it's going to hurt Drew in the end. Now, on top of that, we also had Finn Balor the Demon Finn Balor against Bobby Lashley. This was a good match, short and sweet. It allowed both guys to show off what they could do just a bit. One thing that the Lex Man pointed out is he noticed a different fighting style with Finn when he's the Demon. Well, of course you're going to see that because he's the Demon. He needs to utilize a different offensive set of moves to win. But what really impressed a lot of people was it took him a couple of times, but he was finally able to lift up and boom! Hit a freaking power bomb on Bobby Lashley, hit the coup de grace, and win. And if you want to look at storyline wise, the story in this is that Leo Rush tried to distract, but he couldn't because he was freaking intimidated by this demon persona of Finn. So after all that, we get to the main event. And I liked what they did with Charlotte here. Charlotte paying homage to her father. Because what they did is they had Charlotte arrive via helicopter outside of MetLife Stadium. She arrived via helicopter outside of MetLife Stadium. Now I'm pretty sure that was taped probably the night before to make it look like she was arriving. I'm pretty sure it was. But I love the way they did it because it was paying homage to her father. Because when the helicopter lands, she gets out, she takes her jacket off, they put the robe on her, they have the red carpet rolled out for her, and then there you go. Again, obviously it was taped the night before, because there's no way they would have done that live. And then you had Joan Jett and the Blackhearts playing Ronda Rousey to the ring. Now, like I said in my live reaction, I have seen Joan Jett and the Blackhearts in person. I've seen them in concert. So at least I could say that I saw a WrestleMania performer in concert. I'll say that's a big step up from the San Joaquin Asparagus Festival. Or Stockton Asparagus Festival, whatever it's called. And then we had Becky Lynch come out. She came out, got probably the biggest ovation of the night. Of the three, I should say. Not the night, but of the three. She got her steam back for her entrance, which a lot of people associate with her, steampunk, if you will. And to say that this match was slow and methodical and kind of bumpy at times, I think would be an understatement. look, let's be honest. The ladies had to wait all night to close out the show, and by the time they got out there, it was literally hitting midnight Eastern time. But anyway, all three women looked strong. Despite the flaws, the botches, the clunkiness, whatever you want to call it, you have to admit all three women looked strong. They looked decent. Now, what happened though at the end is what's gotten people talking. So Ronda was made to look a little bit more dominant than Charlotte and Becky, and that showed. But what happened in the end is Ronda was going for Piper's Pit again, her swinging Samoan drop, if you will, on Becky. And as she hit it on Becky, Becky was able to use the momentum to put Ronda into a crucifix, or supposedly a crucifix, because she didn't get all of it. But what happened is, instead of getting all of that crucifix, because the planned finish, from what some people are saying, is she was supposed to use Ronda's momentum to get her into a crucifix pin. It didn't work out that way, because what happened is Ronda had a shoulder up, but the referee still counted 3. He still counted 3, and Becky, yes, as we wanted, becomes the winner-take-all WWE Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. They closed out Mania the right way. But now without controversy, because you could even see on Ronda's face, like, after the count was over, she was like, well, what the heck was that? What just happened? And again, they tried to play off, like, something, Ronda's momentum costed them or something. They were trying to play it off. But we knew something screwy occurred. Now, some might say the referee botched. Some might say it gets played in, that maybe Stephanie McMahon and maybe ordered the ref to screw Ronda the moment he saw the opportunity to, whoever had her in a pinning situation, use his discretion, if you will. We're not really sure. But basically, Ronda ended up losing her belt under controversial means. Now, will that play a factor tonight? Possibly. But, yeah, Becky does win the match. But my thought is this. Whether it's a story-driven, controversial finish, which will be played out tonight on Raw, and maybe we find out Stephanie had something to do with it, or maybe it was a legit botch. We don't know. We won't know until later on tonight. Or maybe, this is my opinion, maybe the referee, because sometimes these referees, no matter whether it's sports entertainment like wrestling or UFC or whatever, or even professional sports, referees themselves will basically call the audible, and they'll be like, look, I'm tired, it's late, I want to get out of here, let's get this done with. And because let's be honest, referees make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes are made because they're getting tired and they just want to go home. Or they just want to get out of there. And that's probably, in my opinion, maybe in my opinion, could have been the reason. Maybe the referee's like, 1, 2, 3, I'm done. This match is over, this show's over. He might have called an audible, we don't know. But in the end, Becky Lynch is the new Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. Whatever the decision's going to be tonight, will we get the unveiling of a new championship? I think we were supposed to get that last night, but it didn't happen, didn't have time. Will we get it tonight? Probably. Or would the decision be that she has to choose what championship she wants, and then the other championship goes up for vacancy, maybe in a battle royal or a tournament? We don't know. But overall, guys, I have to say that this was probably, in the end, one of the better WrestleManias in quite some time. Was it a masterpiece? No, but it was probably better than some give it credit for. And it showed that with the right people behind the scenes, you can have a decent show. And that's all that should really matter. But the one thing they should do, the one thing WWE should start considering, is if you're going to have WrestleMania on the East Coast, You either need to start it officially, because they used to do this in the past. They need to go back to the roots and do this. Start it at maybe 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 Eastern, so it doesn't feel too late. Or if you're going to be on the West Coast, start it at your 4 o'clock hour. Basically, the thing is, if wherever you're going to have WrestleMania, make sure you start it at a time where people won't feel like they're getting dragged on and falling asleep. I mean, NoDQ.com and Rift show basically people falling asleep at WrestleMania. So WWE needs to fix this. But besides that, overall, this was a good WrestleMania. I would recommend, if you watch it on the network, go back and watch it again. And you know what? That's all I'm going to really say, guys. So let me know what you all think down below about WrestleMania. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say on it. Check out the Lex Man's review. Check out the upcoming review by Wrestling with Regret. Check out OTRS Central's review. And No DQ Wrestling and Good Mike Works reviews as well. But let me know what you all think down below. And I'm out.